excited and very happy that you wanted to spend your time to listen to this small presentation about emotional resilience. Well, this topic is very big, and we could speak about emotional resilience for hours. But for your comfort and to be this presentation a little bit more practical, I try to give you the cream so we can really understand what emotional resilience is and try to practically put it in our daily life. So, one second. Let us first start with understanding what actually emotional resilience is. Well, emotional resilience refers to one's ability or capacity to cope up with a stressful situation or situations or any crises, and after that, to rise up. To give a metaphor, it's a little bit like a spring. Once you squash it down, after some time, it will go back to its normal state or normal position. And that exactly is emotional resilience. Mm, Emotional resilience doesn't mean that we are numb to emotions. It doesn't mean that if something happens, we just don't care or we just don't connect with it and we can go through it like an icebreaker. It's emotional resilience means that if something painful happens to us or something uncomfortable, to the degree as fast as we can come back to our normal state, like the spring, that is the amount of emotional resilience that we actually have in life. So sometimes it can take us 15 minutes, sometimes it can be a few hours, days, months, or years before we actually cope up and rise up above the challenge or something painful that happened to us. So today we will discover a little bit more how we can become more emotionally resilient. If during this small presentation you have any questions, any doubts, or something is not understandable, please write in the chat box to Rosa or me, preferably to Rosa, and we will try to answer those questions. So first of all, if you want to be more emotionally resilient, we have to work on our emotional awareness. Emotional awareness means that we are better or more able to understand our thoughts, our pattern of our thoughts. We are able to understand our emotions, and also we are able to understand different habits that govern our life. Emotional awareness also means that we are more emphatical, and in that sense, we are able to also understand better other people, understand from what background they are coming, what are their actual needs when they behave in such a way, when we see that they're in a lot of stress and anxiety, or trying to communicate something that we may not understand at our first guess. Emotional awareness can be developed by a very easy way that probably most of you already did it or will do in the future is by diary or writing a journal. If you write any kind of a diary or a journal, you actually put the thoughts from your head onto paper or computer nowadays, and you are able to actually understand better what is in your subconsciousness and what you have been feeling during that particular time or moment. By going back to that situation, one can become more emotionally aware of many of the ways we behaved that at that time when it was present for us, we were not so much aware. One of the more deeper ways one can actually become more emotionally aware and make this journaling more practical is creating a questionnaire. And I'm going to stop the presentation and I'm going to show you a questionnaire that I, I developed and I usually use with my clients. So I hope you can see this file. On this file, it's a small PDF, and some questions there's on the questionnaire, and it's written like this. Please score from 1 to 5. How did you experience the following feelings in the last 3 to 7 days? Loneliness, bad physical well-being, strong focus, so that when I was doing something, I didn't think about anything else, a sense of meaning and purpose in life, inner peace, order in life, sadness, melancholy, desire for admiration or recognition, and etc., etc., etc. In this way, I try to encourage my clients to um, create their own questionnaires or follow the questionnaire that I share with them, and do it on a regular basis. If one has such a questionnaire, he can go back to his week or current day and actually try to understand their own day from a little bit different perspective that they might have usually on autopilot. Generally, emotional awareness means that I will go back to the presentation. Emotional awareness means that we stop living on autopilot and we spend some amount of our time to actually try to connect and understand what was alive inside of us. Another tool that is very, very practical in having up higher levels of emotional resilience is the internal locus of control. What does it mean? It generally means that we are more interested in what is happening inside of us rather than having an external locus of control, which external locus of control means that we believe that the world is controlling us. The world is all the time throwing something at us, some situations, some strange people, some different problems, and we are victims of the world. We are always being controlled about what's happening outside of us, and this creates a feeling of depression, sadness. Why always me? Why always these problems? Everyone has it better than me. A lot of I would say delusional thoughts like I am the only one, everyone has it not so tough as me. So internal locus of control is the understanding that yes, we are in a world that there is a lot of things we cannot control, and accepting that. We cannot control that there can be an accident that can happen to someone, or we cannot control the sun rising, we cannot control the weather, so many other external factors we cannot control. But what we really can control and what we can do in our life is control our reactions, the way how we look at the world, and the way how to respond to different stimulus. In a sense, if on your hand a mosquito sits and tries to bite you, it's up to you whether you kill it or whether you just take it away. In that way, there is always a possibility to do something depending on our internal state of mind. If someone is in the state of a victim mentality in the external locus of control, first what we have is being sad and depressed. Higher than that, people become aggressive. People become irritated with how their life is being forced to be. And that's a little bit higher and a little bit better. But higher than that is taking responsibility for our own actions, emotions, and our surroundings. Yes, it is difficult. It may be not fair in my life, but it is my responsibility to do it. I actually choose to be like this, or I choose to do this kind of job. I choose to be in this situation. Often people use the word I must, I have, but those words are actually trying to take away the responsibility from us. I must do this report. My boss told me to do it. No, actually, you're choosing to do this responsibility. You're choosing to do this report because if you will not do it, you will lose your job, and you don't want that. So you are choosing to earn money in that particular place, not lose your job. It's your own decision to be here at this place at this right moment. And you can also choose to not do it and leave the company, or speak with your manager and tell him like, I don't like to do this. I don't feel doing this. Depending on where you work and what you're doing, it can work out or not. So what is also important in that external and internal locus of control is to understand that the world actually is trying to support us, not kill us and destroy us. And we can anchor ourselves with the environment that is around us, with the beautiful sunset and sunrise, that there's air around us that we can breathe, that there is beautiful, rain and clouds and anything, trying to connect with the world and being part of this world rather than trying to always fight with this. Every living being in this world has a particular work to do. If we look at the bees, they have to collect pollen from the flowers, and then they have to bring it and make honey out of it. In that sense, we as human beings, we have also responsibility on this planet. And as much as sometimes we don't want to take this responsibility, we should take it because it will allow us to deeper connect with the surrounding around us, to be more anchored and feel more supported by what is around us rather than trying to fight with it and going against the stream. And this kind of mentality helps to be more emotionally resilient because we are not losing a lot of energy on overthinking, why is it always me? In one of my favorite movies of Disney, or if it was a Disney, is Shrek. And the main actor and the main character in Shrek, he said that people are like onions. In that said, that people have different kind of layers that they are created from. And that layers are part of our personality. Those layers are either uplifting or limiting beliefs and values that we have in our life. So emotional resilience also means that one understands their own mindset. There are a lot of unhelpful and limiting beliefs that we may have, subconsciously got in our life, especially in our childhood, from our parents, from our brothers, sisters, friends, early education, middle school, high school, university also. More or less, we were in that stage where we were copying, trying to mimic other people rather than deciding on our own who we are and what actually we want from life. And this created a lot of beliefs that may not fully belong to us or we are not fully aware of them. To give a very small example, imagine that there are two children and there are two different families. One kid in that family, whenever he asks his parents for help, they always say, I'm sorry, I'm busy, I have a lot of work to do. Whenever he asks his siblings for help, they always say, I'm sorry, I'm very busy, I cannot help you at this time. And this kid, during his time, he develops this mindset that people don't like to cooperate, people don't like to help each other, and everything is on me. I have to be the one that has to create my own discipline, my own balance in life. And this person becomes very organized, very disciplined, but he's totally not a team player. He doesn't want to work with people because he has a mindset that it's just a waste of time. On the other side, we have a kid who, when he was raised, whenever he asked anyone for help, he always get it. Whenever he asked for anything, he always had it. And he's thinking like, wow, it's so nice. People are always supportive. I like to be a team player. I like to be with other people. And, whenever I need any help, someone will help me. So he's a little bit more optimistic in being a team player, but at the same time, he doesn't develop so much organizational skills. And he's more of a person that is dependent on other people. So then those two people, they meet in a company, and one of them is very, not a team worker. He's very slow. He likes to do things perfectly. He's very organized. And the other guy who always gets support, he's fast, he's haphazardous, and he likes to do things, and he thinks everyone will agree with his opinions. And these two people clash. They have two different mindsets, and they actually start to criticize each other, thinking that, well, my way of working is much better than his way of working, and the other one thinks he's a slacker, and the other one thinks he's just slow. So understanding what we are built from, what are the Lego blocks that we are created from, and going back to our past is something that can actually destroy these limiting beliefs or help us to become more aware of those. And to do that, well, we need the help of either a professional or a very good friend. It's generally it's going back to different situations in our lives, especially problematic, and seeking and finding these uplifting or limiting beliefs that we have in our life. Yes, this is part of the emotional resistance, means that we should look for help, we should be open, and we should share with other people. Because if we want to be more emotionally resilient, it's not only about us. Emotional resilience also means that we understand that who we are right now and who will be in the future is also created by people around us. It's not just us. Yes, all the success stories means, success, success, that we have this wonderful people who get wonderful things, and usually they are icons. But behind every great person, there is family, friends, teachers, so much support of different person, even enemies. Even our enemies can be beneficial because they show us our own miscomings, shortcomings. So we should look for help. We should be open. We should try to surround ourselves with people that will be willingly want to listen to us, and we'll be able to share what is alive in us. What are our needs? What are our emotions? What do we think? If we don't practice this, our emotional resilience will not rise so fast as it could. Well, another important part of emotional resilience is so-called mindfulness. Well, mindfulness is a very, very huge topic. And, Task Human is a mindfulness and wellness app. So as you can understand, in mindfulness, we can put many, many different topics. But generally, as I understand mindfulness, it is the ability to be in the present and the ability to accept that everything is as it should be right now. Most of us, we constantly either try to go to the past and understand what happened in the past not correctly, or we think about our very, very successful past, or we constantly try to go to the future and think how it will be better when we are not where we are right now, or what could be better in our present. So mindfulness is also a tool that allows us to simply be in present, because present is the only reality. Past and future, actually, to some degree, they don't exist anymore. Past happened, you cannot back there anymore. Future is something unknown. The only reality is present. And people practice meditation, they practice yoga. What is very also helpful, in my opinion, mindfulness is breathing exercises and breathing techniques. The amount that we are able to take a deep breath in, and if we know how to do some breathing exercises, it can actually help our capacity, our intelligence to rise up, strengthen our immune system. And there's a whole science about this. You can check it out. Like, for instance, from ancient India, you have the lessons of pranayama. So if you're ever interested in that, you can just check it on internet. If it goes also for emotional resilient, we have to understand that we have a body and a mind, and they are interconnected. And a deep, important part of being emotionally resilient is also taking care of our diet, for instance. The amount of drugs we take in our life, prescription drugs. If someone takes, let's say, more recreational drugs, they would definitely destroy his emotional resilience, because this kind of drugs, they make your brain pattern think a little bit like this: low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. And if you're riding a car and you're riding 10 miles per hour, then you're riding 80 miles per hour, and then 10 miles per hour, 80, 10 miles, 80. Well, it's very difficult to focus on the road and drive safely. The same thing is with taking any kind of recreational drugs. They just destroy your brain. Less recreational things, like, let's say, coffee, caffeine. It's also something that if you abuse it, it will create in us anxiety, heart palpitation, lacks of, problems with focusing, and not being able to cope up with the emotions that are rising up in our body. So preferably, one should not abuse caffeine, and if it's possible, he can exchange it with something less, less creating chaos in the body. Of course, we also have to take care of the way how our body looks like through different exercises, but also through body postures, the way how we speak, the way how we convey our messages, our sign language, body language. Everything there has to be also connected. People who will sit like this and, generally will speak in a more uh, not open, loud way, will feel less emotionally resilient. So There is a whole book, and many people speak about power poses. So if you want to check this out, this will also help you with your emotional resilience. Also, our lifestyle, how we convey our life, what is our general goal in life. Because if we are only driven by result, if we are only driven by achieving something, this causes also a lot of friction and pain in our life. Because if we don't achieve what we expected to achieve and we are attached to this will cause suffering. So our lifestyle also, in a very, very big way, determines how we'll be emotionally resilient. If we are people who try to become a better versions of themselves, and we understand that on the path of our perfection, there'll be a lot of fall downs, but after that, we should again stand up, just like a baby when it tries to learn how to walk. It will fall down thousands of times, but finally, it will able to walk. So, at the same time, if we don't stop and really continue that, it's more about the journey and about the experience that are around us rather than seeking a goal after goal after a goal, it will also definitely help to have a more stable mentality and also help us to become more emotionally resilient. Because attachment, as I said before, creates a lot of friction in the mind. This is also, you can check, the most of the spiritual religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, they always very strongly they speak about learning how to be less attached, and you know finding a lifestyle that will allow you to be more attached to the positive, to the more spiritual side of life. So here I wanted to describe also a little practical example of how to deal with a difficult situation. This is based on a book called Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Of course, there are different ways how we can approach a difficult situation, but this is used by the technique of nonviolent communication. First of all, when a difficult situation appears, let's say it's a disagreement between two people, you have to ask yourself in your head, what is my actual need? So needs are something very vague, very basis. The need of being heard, the need of authenticity, the need of creativity, the need of being joyful, the need of creating, the need of financial security, the need of connecting, the need of love, the need of being understood, the need of contribution to the society, the need of being trusted. So, what is your actual need behind the action that you're actually performing? And now you have a disagreement with someone. Is my approach the most beneficial for achieving it? Is me being angry at that person will help me to achieve my need? Then we ask ourselves opposite the same thing. What is the actual intention, the need of the other person? He's so irritated, he's so angry, and like, what of his need am I not fulfilling in that conversation, this situation? Then, after we are more or less, understand what's happening with us, we express ourselves in a pattern. I feel very confused and very sad because my need of being on time and time management is not being fulfilled when you don't send me this report at 12 o'clock. So I would ask to kindly, could you please send me this report a little bit earlier? And then we ask the other person, what is their actual need and what action would they like us to take? The person replies, hopefully in the same pattern that you replied before, and then we can find a common ground. As we speak before, the more emotionally aware we are of ourselves, of our mindset and belief system, the better we'll be able to express our emotions and needs. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we are vulnerable and we are showing our emotions to a colleague, and that is not very professional. On the contrary, it can help the person to connect with us and actually fulfill the action that we need. And it is not a demand, it's like a way of people to connect with us, become more alive with us, and it's a possibility for them to enrich our own life. So I wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about emotional uh, resilience. I'm sorry if I was a little bit speaking too fast, but I really wanted to tell you as much as I could in this short amount of time. And if you have any questions, any doubts, or you would like me to repeat something, please ask.
Thank you so much. Are there any, we'll give it a moment for anyone to come off of mute or chat in your questions for Coach Jan. I am typing here in the chat is some download information in case you have not downloaded the Task Human app. If you want the free and unlimited access, perhaps you want to have a follow-up conversation with Coach Jan one-on-one in the app, go ahead and download Task Human and make sure you go into your settings, enter the discount code Medidata 59. We have a couple minutes before we're at time, so we can just ask any questions, or if you have anything about the app or to Coach Jan directly, feel free to either come off mute or chat it in.
If anyone wants the questionnaire, I can send it. Oh, sorry.
What are some of the outcomes that we can expect by working on our emotional resilience?
Well, I would say most beneficial outcome is being more satisfied with current life, dealing better with stress, and also feeling more connected with other people because we feel more compassionate, and we also feel a little bit more humble on our own journey, and we can understand, because we understand ourselves better, we can also understand better other people. So it also rises our productivity because we don't waste so much time on overthinking about things that we don't need to do.
I have one question, because you said we can download the apps and we have Medidata, with kind of a password. Does it mean that Medidata has subscribed to your services? Or is it?
Yes, definitely. So Medidata is offering free and unlimited access to Task Human for all their employees. So you do have access to the Task Human app. All you need to do is go into your particular app store, whether you have an Android or an Apple, just go to your respective app store, search for Task Human. Once you download it, in the settings, there will be an option to enter a discount code. Enter Medidata 59, and that will get you free and unlimited access. And then you're able to access over 800 different topics, whether it comes to physical wellness, emotional resilience, like Coach Jan presented today. There's parent coaching, there's pet coaching, meditation, so many. So you can have a really personalized, customized wellness journey. And you're more than welcome to also reach out to Coach Jan to continue a one-on-one conversation. I hope that answered that question. I also did get a question in the chat to Coach. How do you deal with someone who resists wanting to be emotionally aware, resilient? So how do you deal with someone who's resisting?
Well, we cannot force anyone to do anything. You can bring a horse to the lake, but you cannot force him to drink water, and you cannot force him from where he will drink the water. But what we can give our own good example. The same as kids learn from examples. Kids don't learn so much from you telling them something to do. They observe, they see what are you doing. And the same, we are observing people around us and we see like, well, I want to be like this guy, like I would like to be like him. So if they don't want to listen, we just give the good example. This is the best and probably the only way for them to follow. And if they don't follow that, well, they are unlucky.
Typing again your name. Okay, great. I don't see any more questions. Thank you. I know we're at a little bit over time, so I appreciate everybody who stayed on. Again, in the chat, you'll see the Medidata 59 for your discount code to access the app, free and unlimited. There's so many topics, so many coaches. This is just a little preview. And as Coach Jan mentioned, he he wants to spend hours being able to chat about this. It's such a robust and deep topic. So anybody interested in follow-up conversation, please search for him. Otherwise, there's hundreds of coaches available to you as well. I hope you have a wonderful day. Reach out with any questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. And really, really thank you for coming in such a quantity, amazing.
Thank you. Bye.